I want to share with you how I manipulated hundreds of people into joining a cult to help you become more manipulation-proof from understanding manipulation tactics. We throw terms around like cults or high-demand religion or toxic religion, but I want to share with you the red flags or signs to watch out for to know who you're dealing with. I'll also share my 5-step process. Yeah, it was a good sales process, but it was emotional manipulation. And finally, what do we do with this? Where do we go from here? What are the next steps? Let's start with the red flags. There are 6 things to look for starters, and one is deceptive, emotionally manipulative recruiting practices. Now, this might not be easy to spot, but if you stay open to information sources and take it slow, you can see through their deceptive tactics. 2, there's almost always a lack of responsibility, accountability, and transparency for past problems, past doctrines, or whatever the case may be. The Catholic Church will talk all day about how they're owning their problems with child abuse, but the problems continue because they're not making real change. In my recruitment efforts for the Mormon Church or the LDS Church, there were many problems with the sacred stories that were never shared with potential recruits, nor do they own up to the serious moral problems of their founder. That's deceptive, to say the least. Now, there's almost always behavioral control in toxic groups. In other words, they want to control what you wear, who you marry, and just about every aspect of your life, and especially control information. They don't want you looking for sources of information that would be critical of them, that would help you understand who they really are. There's always an us versus them narrative as well. And by that I mean there's a bad guy and it's the deep state or it's big pharma or it's Satan or liberals or whoever it happens to be. They always create an us versus them narrative because there's so much power in doing so. And then there's the reward system, primarily around obedience, primarily around, we'll call it identity alignment. And what I mean by that is you begin to see yourself and your identity as a member of the group. You become emotionally enmeshed with them. Look at how they treat former members. Attacking or attempting to diminish their credibility of former members is something you see a lot in Mormonism, Scientology, and so many other toxic religions. So, what was my manipulation process that was so effective? Let's take a look. Every sales process starts with a hook. So that's not too dark. I mean, there's a need, there's a desire, a problem to be solved. And I would look for people who had just gone through a big change. I also looked for people who could potentially be leaders within the spiritual community. Okay, all good. But I told potential members that Christianity was so broken that God had to call a new prophet to right the ship. If I could get them shaking their head in agreement that prophets were needed, we were ready to move to the next stage, which is called the commitment if. Salespeople know that I'm qualifying the prospect, but it's really much darker. I asked them if they knew that God had called new prophets to guide people, would they join? It was a hypothetical, so it didn't feel too threatening, but it did set us up for the next phase. Most agreed. And when they agreed, I set a hypothetical baptismal date because, hey, you just agreed that if you feel that it's true, you'll join, right? Most pushed back, but I reminded them, hey, it's just a hypothetical. Let's wait for God to intervene, so no worries. But with the agreement in hand, I asked them to review key literature from the religion and pray about it. I also warned them that the bad guy, Satan, did not want them to have this special witness of the truth, so he would send critics and contradictory information, or they might lose the desire to know the truth, and therefore Satan would snatch this good seed from them. Did you see what I just did there? The bad guy doesn't want you to know our special information. I was insulating the prospect from any critical information. That's manipulation, friends. It's framing the evaluation process in a way that makes it work for me, but not really the prospect. When I followed up and heard that they had found criticism or they'd lost a desire or a family member spoke ill of us, I would pull out the Bible and I read the parable of the sower, where the good seed in some cases fell on hard ground, in other cases was eaten by birds, etc. Some found good ground and flourished. That worked most of the time to get them back on track, because in the next visit, I would bring someone who looked like them, same age, same demographic. This person didn't have to do much other than offer social proof. And it was always some version of, I was once blind, but now I see. You know what? That was very powerful for the new recruit. Plus, I was creating a reinforcement mechanism should they eventually join our group. They have a friend now. Next came the key to the whole process, my friends. I asked them how they felt about what they were reading. If they said, yeah, it feels good, I said that's God confirming the truth to them. Did you see what I just did? This is another frame manipulation. You know what? Feeling good is a pretty common thing, especially if it involves puppies, rainbows, or ice cream. But now that good feeling is God speaking to them. But I took it one step further. I said, clearly God is speaking to you because He's gathering the elite from the world to be true to this saving message, this great work in the latter days before Jesus returns. Did you see what I did there? I introduced elitism. I changed the frame of the good feeling to mean that God is speaking, and I made them elite, a key element of any cult or toxic religion. Folks, my final step was all about reinforcement. The prospect was love-bombed by the local congregation and celebrated as being one of the elite people who received the good seed, and it took root, so of course the next step would become a member, get baptized. As a member, now they had to defend their choice, and in doing so, that helped enmesh their identity with the religion. Criticism or attempts to help someone break free can actually reinforce the decision, because clearly the criticism is Satan trying to destroy the sacred work. That's why bad guys are so critical to cult influence. Now, there were some people who were not fooled by this approach. I'm going to talk about them. They, first of all, would not be rushed by me. They said, look, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to move at my own pace, so thanks. And they usually did not end up joining this religion. Also, there were some who saw through my manipulation. They would say, oh, this is God speaking. Oh, okay, well, I'm a rational person, so thanks, but I'm going to keep using my head here, okay? Or when I would use the Satan card, they might say, oh, you're playing the Satan card. Oh, okay, no thanks. And there were some who dramatically resisted information control and stayed open to all sources of information, regardless of me playing the Satan card. And you know what? They discovered real no-kidding problems with the sacred stories, with so many other things, or they discovered demands that, yes, this religion made that I hadn't mentioned. Yeah, information saved them. Others, when I brought the local member to socialize them, would say, you know what, this is feeling manipulative, like you're trying to create a friendship that will influence me in my decision to join. I would say, of course not. No, not me. But it was true. So let's talk about what you do with this information. Obviously, taking it slow in a relationship, a religious investigation, personal development program, whatever, is a good idea. Slow it down, cowboy. Time is on your side. 2, stay open to all sources of information. That doesn't mean the information is good or even particularly credible, but you've got to take in all angles on a particular issue. Also notice the elitism play. When you're superior to other humans because of a belief, well, it might be true, but it's probably just a manipulation play. Bad guys, especially the us versus them narrative, is key to recruiting and retaining members. Big Pharma, the Deep State, Satan, and so many others are needed to create a powerful narrative. Question the use of bad guys because it might be masking a cult. Question social proof. Might be legitimate or another manipulation play. Okay, my friends, like the video, subscribe to the Change Capability Institute and the channel. and stay free of manipulators. Thanks for joining us.